Welcome back here on the Blitz, here on FloodHSFilming.com, and of course on social media platforms, YouTube, Book, and Twitter, or the call X now. But joining us now here is Mike Lischio, is the co-host of the Rich Sports Show, also the morning anchor at WNZF 4.9 and Post. Right there, if you know, because it's on the map between St. August, Daytona Beach, and Mike is a great friend, FloodHSFootball.com, and I was able to take a few minutes of his time to talk with us. There's some great football action situated along the 5 corridor, and let's bring you in here and talk about this because I know there's been some exciting things here, but appreciate you being able to give us your time here. Let me add about this first coming out of this. I mean, there's a team not in Flagler County, but in Volusia County, I think is heads, especially after the season. They have a brand new head coach this year, and that's Marty University. I mean, they beat Flagler Post at a 29-28 very battle last week in week 5. I mean, just talk about, because they're really an interesting team, and I mean 5-0. It's for the Titans.
Yeah, the Titans have been tested early this year. They've got a big this week against New Smyrna, who's 4-0 as well. Legend John Wilson coaching there, but yeah, first year for University's coach, and it's been a pretty good start. 5-0, played FPC on Thursday night. Had to rally back. They had to rally back from down 16 points. Justin Roberts' team was able to get them back into that game. They're led by a quarterback, Malachi Walsh, who's dynamic and is really but he's a great passer, and he's a junior who's really taking control. Jalen Hill and linebacker does it on both sides of the ball. They're very good, and this is their biggest test. This is going to be the biggest test for them because they've against Vito, they played Haggerty, they beat. They can put points up on the board. Can they go against a team like New Smyrna Beach, who's going to try and slow it down, who's going to try and make it a slog, going to try and win a game 10-7, 12-7, like that? Can adjust to that and just keep themselves in the game and try to win it all at once. Sometimes you get in those games a slog, and New Smyrna's going to come and they're going to run 4 or 5 minute drives. They're a ground and pound team. When you have a high flying offensive attack, can you temper? Can you be patient on a defense? Can you make sure you get off the field and not prolong drives, mistakes? These are the kind of things we're going to see when you have a new team, an up-and-coming team like University against a team like New Smyrna, who has one of the greatest to do it in John Wilkins.
We talked about that, with what USC's doing. They put up, I think they've had like 2 where they've put up like 60 points here. And I mean, that's ridiculous numbers here in terms of amount of points. But looking at, New Smyrna Beach, I mean, they just slugged it out with Horizon 8-0 this pack. I think the week before that, it was a 8-2 slug in mud, in driving rain, it's the astronaut. So it's not, and that's the New Smyrna Beach you're bringing out here, is that New Smyrna is just, they find a way. They're going to play it tough, but they find a way to be and win games, and I think that's going to be important for University, as you said.
Mistake is all New Smyrna beats you to make to win a ball game, and that's they play. They make it tough on you, and just one mistake is all it's going to take. And if they have, they're going to capitalize on that mistake, and they might only get one, but one score will be a need.
No, absolutely.
Time.
Oh, most of the time, all you need is that one mistake, indeed. But Michael, when we're area, I know this is like a little outside of area for the Central Florida Blitz, but you cover all the way up like to St. Augustine, and St. Augustine, they're sitting there 4-0. I'm gonna bring that in real quick, because they do play some of the teams on 95 quarter, and but that's your alma mater too, and they're doing really well here. And beat Bartram Trail 431 week 5. It's always the hot rivalry game. I mean, even though St. Augustine dominated that series over the years.
That series, it's funny because at one point, St. Augustine had won 7 in a row, and of those 17 games, probably should have only won 11, but somehow St. Augustine always found a way to come back against Bartram. They beat Bartram on a second. Logan Wanzelak field. Dylan Cook was the best quarterback. Locke Hewlett, the youth commit, had been out with an injury. He is expected to be back this Friday against Kansas, but Dylan Cook, one of the kids I cover middle school, Dylan, on his revenge tour, beat Joe Menendez last week, beat Bartram Trail. And St. Augustine's been banged up. They had a big win against Brunswick. Brunswick had it up part of the Georgia Classic in Brunswick. They beat Brunswick at home. It was the first time Brunswick had lost in 5 years. So they've been tested early on, and each test they played bowls early as well. I think for the winner of this game, Matanzas or St. Augustine, and everybody's going to say I'm a St. Augustine alum, and this is why I'm saying this. Let's also throw out that I am the voice of the Matanzas Pirates. So this is probably going to be in hot water there too. But the winner of this game is going to win the district. See it. I think, if Matanzas were to upset St. Augustine, that would mean they'd have to lose 3 to a 1-4 Gainesville and an 0-5 Menendez, or excuse me, a 1-4 Menendez team and a 1-4 Gainesville team. I see that happening. And obviously, St. Augustine wins, they're going to run through their district as well. And I don't think Augustine has another loss on the schedule, actually. Kansas is an up-and-coming team. Daquan Evans is coming off his game as a school quarterback. He was 10 for 13, 280 yards, and just 2 quarters of play. So Matanzas is a very good team. They'll hang around for about a half, but in my mind, at the beginning of the year on my show, I said that for me, in 3, it's going to come down to St. Augustine and Maine in the end. And of course, Lake Hills is always still there, the defending champions. But in my mind, I think it's going to be Augustine versus Mainland in that 3S championship.
And that's Mainland's another one of those teams, but we get to Mainland here, stretch of here. Let's talk about Mitchell, who got voted Florida Player of the Week. The Scouts Florida Player of the Week for week 4. I mean, Palm Coast, Daniel Fish came over Lopez this season to stretch there with the Bulldogs. So I mean, what's special about Marcus Mitchell? I mean, the fact that he can just, when we're talking about the week 4 game that they played, scored all 4 touchdowns in the game to win the game. So that's incredible right there.
In 4 games, he's rushed for almost 600 yards, and he actually was limited in the first of that game. And he's just a tough kid. He's got a great attitude. His father is a graduate of the school. His father was FPC's all-time leading rusher. So he's got that in his mind. I call him the baby bus because he's a lot like Jerome Bettis. He's 5'9", 225 pounds. So he's a big, sticky kid, and he can run you over. But he's got some skills. He can go ahead and play from you as well. And he's just a kid, does it all in the classroom. Everybody I talk to in that building adores Marcus Mitchell. He was hurt last year. He was hurt through the summer, and he's just worked his butt off to get back. And that effort is paid off. And as for FPC, their situation is Ponte Vedra. I think that the winner of their game against Ponte Vedra this week wins that district as well, because that district is 4S with Ponte Vedra and Tokoi and FPC. And Ponte Vedra is probably the class of the district. But if FPC can pull out a win, I think that's very well for them, their playoff hopes. Daniel was handed a bad situation. Head coach Robert Pax, FPC, around of March, actually about 45 minutes after he did an interview with me talking about what he was doing next with the program. He went ahead and resigned to take a job in Georgia, which I know that's a topic that you're very much on top of. Probably yes. No one more in the state than you. So Dan Fish was hired just a couple weeks before spring practice. He didn't have the winter to get them up to speed on things. And quarterback DJ transferred over to Mainland. Rodney Hill, the top linebackers in the state, transferred over to Mainland as well. So he had a tough start. He didn't have a quarterback. The quarterback, Aiden Gonzalez, who's the quarterback now, before the spring game, had never played a tackle football game. And so he's been able to integrate these pieces. They lost week 1 to a very good Swanee team. On the road, that's a tough spot to be. They still were playing 3 quarterbacks. But the thing I'll say about Daniel Fish, I've seen every snap of their season, and they've gotten better from week 1 to week 4 to week 5, and they'll have their hands full with Ponte Vedra. But whoever wins that game, the district, and I think Daniel Fish, there's some people who don't think he's the right guy for the job. I am not one of those people. I am a big Daniel Fish fan.
Absolutely, and let's talk about Mainland. I mean, that's the big team in their coverage area, that stretch. That's the team that everybody's following. That's the team that is doing everything. That they're winning games, and 5-0 on the. I mean, they just had a tight-listed battle contest with Lake Minneota here week 5 at Daytona Stadium. I mean, but Travis Rowland knows what he wants from his guys, knows what to get out of his guys. I mean, the Mainland Buck alum is doing everything, and this is year 3 for him. Then after his head coaching career there, like Palm Coast. I mean, what about what you see what coach doing there? If it's not saying, it's you think Mainland is hosting that trophy up for the first time since 2003 this year. I mean, in 20 years they have not won the state championship. Is that, do you think that's a possibility that they're holding that trophy us after with the way they're playing?
Before Travis took the Mainland job, when Scott Wilson ran at Mainland, I texted him and I said, I know how I feel about my alma mater. I know how you feel about yours. I know you haven't made any decisions yet, but when you're at Mainland, I'm going to be there when you're winning that first championship. And this is a very good chance to see to what Travis Rowland does. Obviously, he has uber talent at Mainland, and everybody in Volusia County wants to come for Travis Rowland. But the reason they want to come play for Travis Rowland is because for Travis Rowland, it's not what matters most is not so much what happens on Friday night. It's what happens from the end of the game Friday until the next game on Friday night. He's making sure kids are working hard in the weight room, making sure they're working hard in the field, but he's making sure they're taken care of in the classroom, making sure everything's okay. He is all over. He loves all over those kids, and he's more concerned about you as a man than you as a football player, because he knows that if you take care of that stuff on the field is going to take care of itself.
No, absolutely, and I bet everything. Michael, that's all the time we've got here, but I appreciate you being able to take some time to tell everybody where they can find you at on social media and, of course, on the on radio.
Well, I am on X at Football County 1, so that's easy. Number 1, Football 1. I do morning sports reports, Flagler's Morning News, Mondays through Fridays, 6 to 9 a.m. on WNZF. And on Saturdays, I host the Rich and Mike Sports Show. My co-host and co-broadcast, Carol, that's Saturday morning, 7 a.m. on WNZF, and also on the Flagler radio app for one rated show in Flagler County.
Absolutely. Michael, appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you out there on the fields and the signs and under those Friday night lights. Hit it, Michael.
Thanks, Josh. Always love to
All right, W here joining us here from WNZF on